Health is the most important thing in a human being's life. Who in this world would not want to live a long and healthy life, and above all, with joy and in complete harmony with others? Unfortunately, some people are born with tragic, debilitating, and even almost incurable diseases. Others are born with disabilities, and still others are born healthy, without any disabilities, but become ill on their own due to an unregulated life. It is sad. My wife and I frequently visit many places where people with chronic illnesses live, helpless, abandoned, sad, isolated, distressed, and impoverished people, and many others who are afraid of life, and, according to our possibilities, we help in any way we can. It is ironic and unacceptable to see these people today, even in wealthy societies and on a planet with enough natural resources for the entire world to live happily. Often, in our wealthy and affluent societies, we do not like to talk about sadness. Hypocritically, we prefer to talk only about success and joy. But yes, there are also people in wealthy societies living in profound poverty, helplessness, abandonment, sadness, and illness. They are people without joy, without spirit, and with great dissatisfaction with their lives. They are people who live on the margins of society and seem forgotten and ignored. Sadness is not something strange in a world where we are born and live blindly, because in all phases of human life there are perplexities, fears, illnesses, barriers, conflicts, sadness, misfortunes, and so on. There are within our reach, or rather, there are things in the world that we ourselves, as human beings, with our efforts and capacity for work, can accomplish. But there are also things that go beyond our human capabilities. We, human beings, are not, nor are we capable of, resolving, curing, or reversing them. We, human beings, are not gods, nor do we can perform miracles or magic and cure all the sick. For example, people with chronic congenital diseases who, therefore, live their entire lives in sadness. But sadness, despite being part of human life, cannot and should not last forever. Even when ill, with a chronic disease, a physical disability, or something similar, we must accept that this is how it is and live with the illness, the disability, or something of the sort. Let me emphasize once again that sadness should be fleeting and quick, and should not completely dominate a person's life. There are, evidently, throughout the world, without exception of country, nation, or political society, people who, throughout their lives, from birth to death, live on the margins of society, immersed in poverty, affected by diseases, denigrated, stigmatized, in profound sadness and dissatisfaction. These are people who were born poor, died poor, and, unfortunately, are buried in poverty. Therefore, this is our task, we, the healthy, we, the humanists, and the whole world, to offer, above all, moral support, consoling these people and, if possible, helping them materially. A simple smile can work great miracles. Sadness should also not be inherent to us, like always having negative thoughts and feelings. It is truly sad when a loved one, a friend, or a confidant dies, but we must understand that, ultimately, death is part of the cycle of nature and nothing can oppose it. We need to move on, towards life. The pain of losing a loved one should not torment us for the rest of our lives, however unacceptable that may seem, but that is how things are. Nothing in this world should lead us to such prolonged sadness that we lose our minds and seek a psychiatrist. With constant sadness, we cannot relate well to others, nor serve our society or our families. It is also important to emphasize that sadness leads people to discouragement, to the point of not being able or not wanting to carry out any activity vital to their lives or to society. Sadness has also been associated with fear of failure in life, fear of the turbulent situations of a world constantly plagued by political contradictions. We live in a world that instills fear in us, fear of life itself, especially the fear of not being able to meet social demands and standards. Fear of hope. Fear of family pressure. Fear of being excluded from a group or social class. Fear of abandonment by a partner. Fear of being imprisoned because of one's ideas, expression, mentality, religion, ethnicity, or other factors. Fear of losing control and being controlled by something, like an addiction or habit that can dominate us uncomfortably. Fear of losing control of emotions. Fear of losing control and acting out of anger. Fear of loving and not receiving that love in return. Fear of being infected by a terrible disease. Fear of a stray bullet. Fear of loneliness. Fear of ignorance, of not knowing something at a precise and necessary moment. In this complex and intriguing world, where we need courage and optimism, we are constantly victims of fear. A world that relentlessly frightens us from the moment we get out of bed, and even when we are lying down, we cannot help but feel fear when we reflect attentively. Because of so much fear of life, many lose control and seek solace in drugs, alcoholism, gambling in casinos and other things, even thinking that nothing is worth living for anymore, and soon commit suicide or cause great harm. Losing control is not the solution. It is sad, but it is true. We live in a world where we need to be strong, resilient, and intelligent so that the world's problems do not lead us to affliction, anguish, and restlessness. Therefore, I advise people who suffer from constant fear of life to seek therapeutic help. The fear of life's problems, especially those caused by artistic societies like ours, where success, material possessions, beauty, and glamour are the only things that dignify a person, demands great strength, courage, and a constant search for professional help or even advice from friends, in a reliable and dignified way. Because anguish, fear, and isolation lead to mental and physical illnesses, causing a lifetime of pain and torment. Only through therapy and counseling, speaking openly about our problems, can we find healing. In this world, nothing is more important than health.